I light up.
You are live. It's alive.
What if he just like instantly froze? Like I don't know what to do with my hands.
I've never performed before.
We're live. I'm gonna do the show over here, so you can't look at me. There's people that do that really freeze up. They just they contemplate the fact that they are live and people could be watching and they freak out.
I just start like realizing how asymmetrical my face is and then try to angle my body so that you can't tell. You know what I mean? Like just like
yeah.
Make my eyebrows look even by swiveling. How you been?
Terrible. It's awful. It's falling apart. Yeah.
It's been pretty rough.
It's awful. It's awful. Yeah.
I don't know if you can talk about this. Like, if this is like off the table and it's too vulnerable or intimate, we can just move past it. But how is Lima time?
Great.
Y'all did baseball happen now?
Yeah.
With fake people in the stands?
Yeah, it's creepy. I would, but you can send you can pay $100 and you send a full cutout of yourself and they put it in the stands and I didn't do it, but a lot of people did. It was like, that'd be pretty tight to have just be wearing something stupid and just have like a goofy face.
I didn't know that you could pay to be a witness to the game.
Yeah, so they have like full bleachers or like filled with these cardboard cutouts, and then like other teams have like full size teddy bears spread out in places. So there's like some games, some stadiums are like Bizarro Land, and it's super creepy. So yeah, but no, the baseball just started, and it'll probably be over here in a second because 11 players on one team all have COVID, and they had to cancel their game.
Damn.
Yeah. So like they haven't canceled it yet, but like that's not great.
Yeah.
It's not great. So there's your sports section on the Our Lady of Conspiracy podcast.
Well, it is the end of the world, so that's the news. All the news is conspiracy now. All of the normies in my life that like didn't ever want to talk about like Pizzagate or Event 21, everyone now is like super on that shit.
Does that annoy you?
I mean, not really.
Yeah, it's like when your favorite band sells out and they're fucking all of a sudden everybody's listening to it and you're like, I was listening to them when only creeps and people on the dark web were looking at it. You know, now everybody, hey, we're all in quarantine and stuff's happening in the wide out the open and people have time, and it's the perfect recipe to get new people in conspiracies because they're afoot.
Yeah. Well, there's so much that has happened since we last spoke, but one of like the major things is that Ghislaine Maxwell got fucking arrested. And so like, I'm just remembering last year, there were all like a list of people that were supposed to be indicted. And like, there's like a list of people that are going to get arrested from the Pedogate, conspiracy. But of course we're just like, oh, well, that'll never happen. But now like Jeffrey Epstein got arrested and now she did. And all of these other people are coming out. Like it's becoming really like, it's like a dream come true for the fucking Pedogate conspiracy theorists.
I mean, of all the conspiracies, this is the one that should anger people the most. It's the one that's just disgusting and terrible, and it's so widespread and filled with affluent people and connection that it's just, oh man, I feel like we can speculate all we want about who's on the list and who's part of it, and I still think it would shock us when we really find out who all is involved. People are getting murdered by FedEx drivers.
Yes,
to threaten a judge, killed the son and then wounded the husband. Is that right?
Yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah,
and it's like a spy movie. It's like exactly the kind of thing that you see like in these dramatized versions of geopolitics, but now like it's on the fucking news.
I can't. I mean, they did it in broad daylight, and I mean it's an old tactic. Kill one to mourn, keep one alive to kind of pull her, to give her hope to where you don't want to say the wrong thing in this case. But also your son is dead. So
and so fucked up. And oh my gosh, we have to mention Wayfair. Did you see the Wayfair shit?
Yeah.
That like is like candy.
I don't know if I'm all in on that. It's compelling, but I don't know.
The thing, I don't know if I 100% believe it either, because there's a lot of like mis and disinformation. But today when I was researching it, if you like Google Wayfair scandal, you see the fucking SEO bullshit where they're like, fact check, Wayfair was not involved in sex trafficking. These are the facts, the Wayfair sex trafficking scandal. And all of these like articles that you click on, there's no information that says anything. It says like, oh, there was a glitch in our whatever. They don't make a statement about why they were using those names. They don't make a statement about why their statement was incorrect twice. It was really like super sketchy. And now looking back, like you can't find any accurate information about it anymore. Like on the day of the TikTok drop, which like shout out to TikTok for bringing us some conspiracy research.
Is that dead yet? Is it banned?
No, it's not banned yet.
It will be.
Just a matter of time.
Talk about a platform that blew up quick.
Yeah, and they're talking about how it's a Chinese surveillance.
100% is a Chinese thing. They're like openly, they're like, they are surveilling you. It is not good to be on that. And people are just like, hey, look, I just learned this dance, and I didn't learn it in vain. I'm gonna pop and lock. And make videos, and the Chinese can have my information. I've got to pop and lock.
Well, Facebook passed a policy where if news is from a country that has like a history or a reputation for propaganda, then they'll like put that under the news source. So like now when you scroll through, you'll be like, oh, this is international news. Oh, this is news from Russia. Oh, this is news from the UK. But they don't do it for the United States. For any other country.
Oh, you mean the who's second in the worst in the world? China is the best in the world. They're the world champions. They're tough to dethrone. They're the disinformation, fake news, just powerhouse. But the United States, right behind them, right there, really trying to pull an upset.
If people realized, like, if Americans realized how propagandized their news was, they would be fucking furious. Like. Yeah. It's scary.
Yeah, not even that. Yeah, just not only the propagandized, but what they're lying to us about, what they're not telling us. Let's start a revolution.
Well, we're in the middle of a revolution now. It took a fucking race war for people to get onto the streets and fight the government, but now Portland is trying to take the city. So it's happening.
I've got a buddy in Seattle who's was on the radio with me, and he's had to evacuate his apartments because of the rioting.
Damn.
Yeah. So,
well, at this point, it's not even riots.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just demonstrations that are getting fucking tear gas. It's wild. Oh, I saw a UFO.
What? Oh, this is good. This is good. This is what happens when we don't do a show for a while. We're gonna jump all over the place, but I'm into it.
I know, and you were like the first person I wanted to tell. So me and my girlfriend were doing mushrooms, and so that's my bias in this story.
Thanks for the invite. I wanted to be a third wheel and see aliens with you and your girlfriend. God, you never let me.
Well, next time we were in like the bay, like somewhere out near Galveston, and we watched like this beautiful sunset, and it was like, and we were tripping so hard, and it was so gorgeous. And then when the sun went down, there was this amazing lightning storm that like lit up the sky. So you can imagine like tripping balls, and there's like a lightning storm off in the distance.
Yeah, terrifying.
And we're kind of like going in and out or whatever. But eventually we see this red and white blinking light moving so fucking fast across the sky. Like the fastest I've ever seen anything move through the sky ever. And at first I'm like, oh, well, we're probably just hallucinating or something at the same time. But that didn't seem like, I feel like if I were hallucinating, it would have been like a little more dramatic. Anyway, we get out our phones so that we can record it so that later we can see whether or not it's slow or fast, like if we're imagining it. And by the time we get our phones out, it's fucking gone. Like it just disappears midair. Like I pull out my phone to go like this and my camera turns on and it's like fucking out of the sky. It was so crazy.
Yeah, it was over the water.
It was over the land, but I mean, in the distance.
So you could only make out the two lights. You couldn't see any kind of shape or any kind of.
Mm-mm.
But you just said it was moving too fast for it to be. For the most part, for it to be anything that.
It looked way faster than any aircraft that I have seen moving through the sky.
Interesting.
And the size of the lights wasn't conducive to so many things. Man, I really wish I got a video. But the point being, the next day I opened my phone and the news article I see is the United States has said that these UFOs that they declassified are probably not from Earth.
Yeah.
So that's fucking whack.
Yeah, so that's just being put out there. They're like, you know what? It's a shit show out there. Let's just full disclosure. Let's just say it. Let's just say it. Nobody's gonna say anything. A couple of people will tweet about it, but there's just too much going on, and it'll just fall under all the paperwork. Yeah,
honestly, and
casually, that's just such a that statement is like historical. That's like one step for man, another for mankind. That's like a thing. That's confirming aliens, and it's just we're all like. We even read it and we're like, eh.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like the biggest fear about alien and UFO disclosure has been that people would freak out and like, there would be like religious riots and like all of this crazy shit would happen. But it feels like it kind of happened in reverse. Like first everyone started rioting and like losing their concept of reality, and then we got the UFO announcment.
Yeah, we're so beaten down and desensitized to everything. We're just like, yeah, whatever. Yeah. I mean, I truth be told, I love Jesus. He's my Lord, but I guess the aliens can love him too. Speaking of that, there was some fucking Republican congressperson or senator or something that had a tweet that said, if the aliens show up here, they're gonna have to take Jesus in their heart to get into heaven. And it was just like, okay. It's like, no, they're not.
Like, I mean, I believe in aliens.
Come here, T. Let me baptize you. Let me dip you in this pool. Come here for a second. You've heard of the Lord? They're like, no, we're aliens.
It's like the aliens from Signs that are like hydrophobic, and we're trying to baptize them.
They're just like, what are you? Yeah. Those are creepy, by the way.
Yes, like some of the scariest. I fucking love alien movies. I think we might just be like manifesting this reality based on all the films that I've been watching my entire childhood.
It's possible. Speaking of aliens and movies, the one thing that I always thought was super weird and just kind of zany, whereas in War of the Worlds, when they're in that basement, those aliens are like fucking clowning around, and they're like they come in the basement and they're like picking up pictures and laughing at it and like hitting like bicycle wheels. They're just like fucking off while they're like eradicating the planet. I just thought like, what? These guys are a bunch of clowns.
Yeah,
giggling and like messing with shit. I was like, that was a weird choice. In that the one time you see the aliens, it's weird.
The best alien movie, Chicken Little, hands down. Sci-fi masterpiece.
That's a bold statement.
Thank you.
It's a bold statement.
I like to make bold statements. It's a part of my brand.
Yeah, I like that. No, it's the way to be now. You have to be binary and be hyperbolic, and just it's everything or it's nothing.
So, have you heard of Project Bluebeam?
I've heard the term. I have no idea what it means.
So Project Bluebeam is the theory that the government will fake an alien invasion.
Oh, yes. I do know all about this.
Yes. So, and we should probably go back and describe the Wayfair scandal later too, because I realized we didn't really define it. But the Project Bluebeam says that, and there's a lot of different things that surround it, but the most popular one is that they'll use aliens as a common enemy in order to instill globalism and have like a united army. And globalism is like highly risky because it could create a very impressive environment, or oppressive, not impressive, for the entire world.
Impressive.
But there are all of these people now that are super into the Anunnaki, super into aliens, super into UFOs. So if they did do a fake alien invasion right now, they would have so many people like hanging on their every word. Like if they just faked aliens in this moment, like people would run to that like fucking religion during the plague. Like it would change everything.
Yeah, but also, yeah, you're probably right. But also, there's a chance with it as tumultuous as it is right now. It's possible that there'd be just with people so angry at the police and the military, where there'd be people like literally willing to go to war for the fact that they don't want, like, let's try to be peaceful with the aliens, like not wanting to fight them, not wanting to buy into the propaganda.
Yeah.
Even though they're gonna have the aliens come in and fucking blow up the Empire State Building like Independence Day. I've even read some stuff on that where they've reverse engineered actual fucking alien spacecraft that and they also have built shit that they have shit that we can't even fathom that they already have, aside from actual alien technology that they've had since Roswell.
And oh man, I wish I could remember exactly what the site is, but it's like one of these really old, ancient archaeological discoveries that was on like an energetic ley line, and it's directly on the opposite point from Roswell. And so that's how they found out that like where Roswell happened was kind of like an energetic point in the world. It's a really interesting theory that like some of these crafts get like drawn down kind of like in the Bermuda Triangle.
They're all it's Stonehenge. It's in the Black Forest, which is all real spooky in Germany. There's all on these lines. And almost every single place that has that kind of lore around it. What's the Machu Picchu? All of them are on one. So I mean, there's something to be said for that.
I'm gonna like drop a little bit of something I've been thinking about, because there is this whole flat Earth psyop that's been going on, and I feel like maybe the planets are not physical and they're like energetic, and that's why astrology is a thing. And so there really is no way to like travel to a certain point. Like physical matter becomes so different the further away you get from Earth. And it has me thinking about how now that multiverses are really popular, people are thinking like in multiple dimensions. And fucking Alex Jones last year came out with a statement that the government was having interdimensional meetings with aliens like from other dimensions, and there's like this base in Antarctica or whatever. But it's like there's so many different ways you could go with the aliens, but I just don't think that they're like flying over from another fucking planet. You know what I mean? That seems like so much.
I'm with you. I mean, that's been like the narrative, and but honestly, space is so terrifying and so vast that's not out of the realm of possibility. I think planets are absolutely things. We have the rover driving around on Mars, and just how shitty Mars is. So I don't know, but I do think that they're interdimensional. But what I was gonna say is that your favorite podcaster Joe Rogan, the last time he had Alex Jones on, it was like 3 hours and 45 minutes, and it's the fucking best episode. He lets Alex Jones just fucking run rampant. He talks about that shit. He talks every single theory he has. He lays it out. It's the most, like, whether you believe what he's saying or not, it's the most compelling and just like fascinating thing. It made me like him a lot more. He's an absolute psychopath, but he believes everything he's saying. Alex Jones. So I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, I used to think it was an act, and it was this whole like like an opposite of a Stephen Colbert thing, that he was just like playing, that he was just playing into that role, and he's built up this site and all this stuff, and he's just, you know, talking about the frogs turning gay and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And but I mean, he has so much, like, these just very specific takes with the interdimensional beings. He's got like where they met. The Nazi doctors are involved, and that you go watch that episode sometime. I'm not kidding, it's incredible. And anybody who's listening to this or watching it, you should check it out. It's incredible. It really is.
I normally don't listen to Joe Rogan, but I feel like I could make an exception if Alex Jones was on.
I'm not a Joe Rogan fan by any stretch, but I will. There are depending on the guest. If it's somebody that is talking about something interesting and I can learn something from, I'll absolutely check it out. But only like one-offs like that. I'll be like, oh, I want to see what this guy has to say. And then all of the Midnight Gospel. What I can't think of it. I just blocked those.
Oh yeah, Duncan Trussell.
Duncan Trussell. Like all of his episodes are absolutely.
I love
cool.
Duncan Trussell.
He warms my heart. But so when they're talking about that kind of stuff, that DMT and like just existentialism.
Yeah.
Joe Rogan's not all bad. But he's
well,
not great.
I've been thinking kind of. I mean, whatever. Joe Rogan's fine. Did you see my status about him?
Yeah, he's good. Stone Ape, you got him on that.
Burn. Really come at me, Joe. Let's grapple.
That really should be a bigger tweet and bigger post than it is. That's pretty fucking good.
Well, why don't you hit share, motherfucker? You have the power. You have the power. Retweet. Right. We'll yeah, whatever. The conspiracy game is just full of like these dude bros, and that's fine.
The conspiracy game.
That's fine. I get it.
Look, the patriarchy wants that too.
I know the patriarchy affects everything,
it's also an incel breeding ground. The conspiracy.
Here's the other thing, though, is it's like that is how intellectualism like happens, like this separation between like these very like smart men and the rest of the world. Like that's so inherent in all of our institutions, and at the same time, like that intellectual energy like is accessible by anyone if there aren't all of these obstacles. You know what I mean?
Yeah, what's that? Obstacles like passwords to get into their boys club websites?
No, just like having a dick.
Yeah.
And even yeah, but all of those secret societies were started around mysticism, so it makes sense that there's like echoes of the patriarchy still.
Fucking bastards!
How dare they?
Unbelievable.
But yeah, if Joe Rogan wants to hang out, just have him text me.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's moving to Austin, so we'll be texting soon. So yeah, I didn't have some big Joe Rogan take, but I think people, and this applies to every possible topic and every person. It's just everything's just so sensationalized, and Joe Rogan's terrible and this or that, and like everything's out of context. And I'm almost at overload with everything. I'm just like, everybody shut the fuck up. Everybody. Well,
a lot of it, I mean, to bring it back to conspiracies, this like polarization bullshit is something that they have been doing since, I mean, forever. Like
divide and conquer. Yeah, it's the first and last chapters of the
we said it at the same time.
Jinx. You owe me a dark web. You owe me a Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. Something in conspiracy. I don't know. Don't ignore that.
But I've been listening to I found out that I was Celtic recently, so
shout out to being Celtic. Yeah, badass.
I know, super cool, right?
Yeah.
And I was listening to Dan Carlin's Hardcore History about the Celtic Holocaust, which is such a good one. Like I love him. And I've always been super into obviously like Roman mythology and Roman philosophy, because that's when we really started recording, like writing down stuff like that. And it seemed so ironic for me to start like getting into the culture that was genocided by the Roman Empire.
Ironic.
Isn't it ironic?
Stupid. Yeah.
But they invented essentially this colonial genocide that carried on into the British Empire, but they also invented divide and conquer. They also invented economics and the class system, and these are all things that they just made up out of thin air in order to like preserve their political power. And it's still happening now. Like when they say the Roman Empire never fell, like they are right. These ideological patterns that they began are just still fucking spreading, just the way that it did with violence, except it's with misinformation.
Yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I mean, yeah, they
said the white man.
Look, don't bring that up. I'm trying to lay low. I'm trying to fit in. Like I'm trying to. Maybe I'm a little bit Latino. Okay, I'm not gonna do that.
I'm trying to be racially ambiguous.
Yeah. But put on a backwards hat, which is racist, I'm sure.
Pretty racist.
Just trying to fit in. I'm just trying to fit in, be cool, guys. No, I think that's really interesting for them to be that diabolical and also creative to come up with that stuff. Because I mean, I guess if all you have to worry about is how you're going to stay in power and how you're going to control people. I mean, that's all you got to do.
Yeah.
But what
Psst.
So it's just like them and the Greeks, really, just figuring out how to.
Well, the Egyptians too. I mean,
the Greeks were just having gay sex. Like that's what they were into, and like for the most part, just a bunch of gay sex and statues.
Yeah, they set the stage for a lot of stuff. But the Egyptians were an authoritarian regime, and a lot of the stuff that we know about the hierarchy just came from them trying to preserve the power of royalty. And they had this idea that they were appointed by God. So there was still some there were some religious and spiritual sides to it, but technically it was just another fucking oppressive government.
King Tut died with a boner.
Using slavery to accrue wealth for the few.
The Egyptians were terrible people.
They were so bad.
Awful. But shout out to Cleopatra. Powerful woman. We love her. We stand Cleopatra.
Honestly, I stand Isis. I feel like that's really the goddess that we need to, because these like earthly kings and queens are taking all of the belief, and that's like our energy. That's our power. Yeah. Like when we give our power to a president and we're like, oh, the president can fix the country, like that is an alchemical, like energetic rejection of our own sovereignty.
But they can't. We haven't had a real president since John F. Kennedy, and there's some conspiracy for you. We haven't had an actual president since JFK, and he was trying to do it, and well, look what happened to him.
Amen, brother.
So there's have you ever watched the Obama Deception?
No.
It's old. It's really good. It's just about how just Bilderberg and the globalists, how they groomed Obama for years for him to come in at that time, and his job was mainly to appeal to different countries that weren't white and European, to kind of give a little bit of hope. And then he was just to like to stay. He was supposed to just stay in the favor, stay loved, everybody the hope. He was just supposed to just keep everybody just kind of positive while they're up to stuff. But that's a good one. Just basically saying,
he was
you
just
think Obama's going to change something. They're like, no, he's not changing shit. He's in here. Yeah, it's same fucking it's the same story.
But we fell for it. I mean, I was pretty young, but I fucking fell for it. It was like a curtain over the deep state, like hiding all of this shit. And then, as soon as he's out of office, like, look what happens.
Do you think it's possible that Trump is not with the globalists, and because Clinton was beat out and he won this in this fucking weird election, and he's actually the rogue one? I kind of believe that.
Here's the thing. This is I'm going to lay it down. I'm going to lay it all down. Because
I'm glad you're on the same page on that.
I do need to like preface this. Like, I don't agree with Trump as a person.
He sucks. No, he's the worst.
He sucks. And I follow a lot of QAnon information. I follow a lot of red pill information. Like, some of it has a lot of truth. But we are undergoing some shadow work globally right now that has to do with colonization, racism, egoism, accruing wealth, like poverty, using other people's labor to accrue your wealth, lack of free will. All of this shit is coming up for us globally,
all the bad things. It sounds like
cosmically.
All the bad things.
Yeah, just like these shadow things that have gone unexamined. And Trump like represents that so hard. And so he triggers all of that trauma. And I don't know if he knows that he's like a tool for that, but what it's like furthering polarization. And then on the other hand, he is bumbling through this quest to take over the deep state because he was really scorned by billionaires. Because to get into the billionaire club, you probably have to eat a fucking baby. And he probably wasn't down to clown. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it looks like from the outside.
Or they're just like, this guy fucking sucks. Like, we just not. I do love, but
he probably hasn't ever eaten a baby. And like, if I look at all these other politicians that are showing
the best babies, the most tremendous babies, best babies.
There's there's no Democrat that doesn't have blood on their hands either. And
no,
I don't
100%. There's nobody's.
If Hillary were in office right now, Jeffrey Epstein would not have died.
No, so that's what
he wouldn't have been arrested. That's my opinion about all that.
And I think you know what, and honestly, I think that's the I mean, besides the the racism and the murdering of black people that's happened forever. A pedophiles, sex slavery ring that's gone on unchecked for years is the worst thing. Yeah. So I would if Clinton was president, it wouldn't be this freaking shit show we're in. It'd be business as usual. Something would be going on, but we wouldn't be going through this. But we wouldn't have that. You're right. We wouldn't have that. We'd be so much further away from it. That's what's crazy about this is we're closer to change with this shit show than we would have been if nothing happened, and it would have been worse off. Even further from any hope of or glimmer of light. So say what you will about Trump. I think he's such a narcissist that he has to do whatever he wants. Like I don't think he ascribes to any of that. And I think the way the state of the country and what's going on and how it's so divisive and separated is indicative of that the powers that be do not like it, and you have these factions moving against each other, and we have this. I mean,
there's a lot of people that are
so much going on, so many battles of different shit.
But it's all connected. It's all one story. It is one story. And it has all of these heads like a fucking Hydra. And that's intentional so that we don't have the heart. We just keep cutting off heads. But one of those heads is fucking racism, which is something that, was created on purpose for economic gain, because slavery is how we have run the world and how we have created civilization and how we have, without slavery, none of us would be here. And that's a huge shadow and a huge problem on Earth. And Trump escalated race so much. I don't want anyone to die. I don't want anyone's trauma to be on display for other people to learn from, because that's selfish. Right. But I do think that if liberals were able to live in peace about their passive racism, then nothing would change. And I think that Hillary Clinton is the fucking symbol of pretending that you care when you're white and then not actually doing anything about it. So there's evil just on other sides of the spectrum. Yeah, that's the evil that hides and the evil that doesn't.
That's been a big complaint of the debacle that is the continuing perpetual debacle that is the Democratic Party. Yeah, is that they've talked this big game and do all this shit, but don't actually do anything.
But it's two wings of the same bird, motherfucker.
Oh yeah,
aren't different parties.
It's very they're very pompous and very on their high horse talking all this stuff and just like this. Oh, the bleeding liberal heart, but don't really give a shit. And you know what? Honestly, I've come to the point where, and I'm not a Republican by any stretch. I'm not, but I'm almost respect somebody who is terrible and openly prejudiced than somebody who where they stand. I don't say I respect them more, but their stance, that's to say one thing and do another. That's a whole different. That's different snake stuff that I can't get down with.
Yeah, the manipulation, which is demonic, and
fuck demons. We hate them.
Poor demons.
Well, you know what? We're sick of them.
These poor Democratic demons. We just want them to legalize psychedelics, and then y'all can go home. How about that?
Yeah, and that's all they had to do. If they were really that evil, they could be decriminalize these drugs, and we'll get everybody off your back. You can take our money. We're not getting our Social Security. You're already stealing everything. Just that's all you would have to do, and you would have a fucking passive population. But they're too greedy and they're too mean.
Yeah, I wonder sometimes, because you read about in especially France, but a lot of different places where royalty and noble people, anyone that was in the upper class, was raping boys, essentially, children, kidnapping and raping children.
Yeah.
And when you look at the news about Jeffrey Epstein right now, they're talking about like 15 to 17-year-olds women. And I'm like, that's not the fucking story.
No. It's the it's
That's
Bohemian
not
Grove.
what happened here.
Yeah, it's babies being sacrificed to Moloch, the owl demon. We're talking about drinking the blood of babies. Yeah, and that's not even the sex part. So like, there's just so many layers.
But now that witchcraft is becoming more popular, I'm really curious about, because the last time this really came out and was like a thing, like a part of culture, it was around the time of the witch trials. And so like magic was being really demonized. And so it was up to the royalty to pretend that they weren't engaging with it while they were, hiring astrologers, fucking hiring fortune tellers, doing witchcraft in their, in their homes. Like, this dichotomy of demonizing magic is really just to kind of hold up this pretense that the people that are higher up are above it when they practice it more than anyone else.
They practice like straight up Satan, dark, black magic, which is, I mean, and this is just from reading and stuff, but it's powerful stuff. The stuff they're doing, it works. And there's it's a reason that they're doing this stuff.
Yeah.
So it
didn't work.
Yeah, it's not great. Yeah. Anytime you're celebrating around a giant owl demon named Moloch, I can't stress enough, it's not good.
Yeah.
That thing creeps me out. But it's a cool name.
Yeah, that's one of the interesting things is like Alex Jones was the person who uncovered Bohemian Grove, and he was also the first person to be famously censored online.
He's an interesting guy. There's some of his films are.
Sorry, my cats are going like bonkers right now.
That's what I come to expect at your house. Just them meowing, you meowing back because remember you have to respond if a cat meows at you.
I do. And
then you have all of you, the people that have a crush on you, meowing in your comments, like all your simps are just purring at you in your comments. But no, your cats are always running rampant. No, I was gonna say Alex Jones has he's made some good conspiracy films, and some very bad ones peppered in there. But he gets a bad rap.
Well, it's like, here's the thing is so many people have been indoctrinated by the patriarchy, and not to bring it up over and over again, but they have been
here we go. All right.
Like, they have blind spots, and they also have been indoctrinated by white supremacy. And so like all of us have these blind spots that have been like almost fostered and leveraged to create a space where we are divided.
Right.
I just don't think it's an accident.
No, it's definitely not. And also just how somebody like Alex Jones is, the viewpoint that most people have of him is that he's a crazy psychopath yelling at everything and is crazy. And that's exactly what they want you to think. There's a chance that he's actually telling the truth on almost everything, or at least thinks he is, like, where he's like, everything he says could be absolutely dead on. He might be the only person telling the truth on earth.
They fuck with these people. Like, if you look at Bob Lazar, they gave him so much and they took so much from him. And I feel like there's a similar situation where it's like, once they have you and they know that they can manipulate you, like, disinformation is more important than silencing someone. 100%. Giving someone false news into their inbox directly is something that we can do now. I can do that now. I don't even code. Like, I can create a news feed for someone else. It's fucking bonkers, like, the amount of manipulation that we're under. And when I see people like that have been censored, I don't feel good. Like, it makes me feel really scared.
Yeah, you know, and me too, because and disinformation is always been a tactic, and one that works, because especially when before the news was what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of it.
Unbiased?
No. What's when it's a like government word when it's son of a bitch. I'm blanking on it. I can't.
Undisclosed, redacted.
No, like when I can't even articulate as to what I'm thinking of.
Start the sentence over. I was texting my boo.
How dare you? You know what? No, we're gonna stop. We're gonna talk about this. We are on a show right now, and we are having a very passionate discussion. No, not destabilized. Deregulated. Deregulated. But no, but that's like before. Like it was all in one place. So there was. It was very easy to just control the narrative, and it still is. It's a free for all. But there's just so much. Just lately, I guess, with social media and all these sources and where you could get news from all these different places, there's also fake news and stories coming from all these places, and it's so easy to trick people that it's one of the few things that really like overwhelms me and gets me down, just to see like a post on Facebook, and just because how many people are not bright. And like, not even being, normally I'm being mean to them, being like, you fucking everybody's a bunch of idiots, but like they just are not savvy enough to pick up that.
Well, it's not their fault.
No, I know it's not. No, it's not at all. But that's been weaponized to the highest degree, and that's what's working right now. And it's just like, how do you fix it? It's like it's such a daunting task, because it's about educating people and educating the mass populace with a force going against you. It's like you can't do it.
Yeah. Well,
so and that's I hope the aliens come and blow us up, so I can just get out of here and I can go to my next life or the next parallel. I don't care. Hell, I'll go to hell. I don't care. It can't be much worse.
I am sure that there is a lot of really good information out there that is true. But if we look at mythology and we look at ancient texts and we look at the story in the stars and the constellations, the stories that have been passed down from us by our ancestors, all of them are giving us a message about how to behave in the absence of truth. That is that's the story. Like, if you don't know what's true and you can't trust your government and you can't trust the people in your life that have authority and you can't even trust the ground that's underneath you.
Can't trust yourself. Can't trust yourself. Sure.
How are you going to behave in that situation? And we are so secular as a society right now because economics is like masking itself as some kind of religion, and we're giving all of our beliefs.
Economics, is that you? No, I'm a religion. Don't worry about it. Don't look me in the eye. Economics, we know that is you. No, Scientology. We're Scientology.
Well, maybe I might be on my high horse about it, because I was reading about how economics started as just like a literary term for like a kind of writing, and it's like a philosophy. But we like act like economics is how the world works, and that is the opposite of what is true.
No,
and so even that, like the very foundation on which we live a lot of our life, is totally false. So if you're falling for
the stock market is all lies.
If you're falling for clickbait, that's not the problem. Like, the problem is all of these institutions. It's like when we talk about pollution and everyone's like, be sure that you wash out your plastic bags and reuse them. Like, there's corporations that are dumping acid directly into the coral reefs with no remorse. Like, that's not the problem. These ideological mistakes that people make because they're sharing Fox News articles are doing it because there's a system that's hypnotizing them.
Yeah. It's also, and if you want to get even a little bit further down,
I want to go further, baby.
The dumping, dumping the acid in the coral reef. The war has been used to
tell me more. I know where you're going.
War has been used to control us for, since, let's see, World War I, the Lusitania, all that stuff started there. So, but global warming, that's where they're going to. That's where they're going next to bring the global thing together, and they're going to profit off. They're going to profit off global warming, taxing cars that we all already have, taxing, taxing factories, taxing planes, taxing cars, all this stuff, and also keeping third world undeveloped countries from being developed, so you could keep the you keep all the resources that they have there, because it's usually oil and diamonds and all sorts of stuff in these places. So don't let them get in. Keep them in their huts.
Well, let me tell you,
get money off the cars that are already there, and that's the next play. But that's just speculation.
Well, when we look at Event 201, or not Event 201, Event 21 about depopulation, a lot of it is in reference to sustainability, which is a word that used to be a globalist, like, oh, you should never say sustainability because that essentially means genocide. But now when we say sustainability, it's a bunch of like white people with dreads that
I thought sustainability was how long you could have sex. And is that not what it is?
Are you proud of saying that out loud?
No, I'm very embarrassed, and I'm actually, truth be told, I'm very shamed by it. I'm very upset with it. So, no, it didn't land. Wasn't good. Move on from it. Thank you.
Okay, cool. So,
yeah, I hate it.
So now when we say sustainability, like it's a part of our kind of like vernacular as millennials, and so we don't really see the sinisterness of it. And if you're not listening to Freeman Fly, you got to start listening to Freeman Fly. He's like this OG conspiracy dude that's been doing it forever. And he had someone on today, the name of which I cannot remember, but he was talking about how they had a simulation 201 in reference to the coronavirus. Did you hear about that? How they did like a pretend pandemic, and they held like this huge simulation to see whether or not they had the resources in order to handle a pandemic.
Yeah.
And so that is called like Simulation 201. And in the logo, the 0 is like a globe. And so if you just take the globe out, it's 21. And all of the things that they say about the coronavirus happening, they also talk about in Event 21, which is the globalist plot to depopulate, bring people into small cities, and then fucking take them out so that all of this beautiful, like, more economically sound land can just produce more resources. And I'm glad you pointed out the fucking carbon tax, because they are using global warming to create an economy that is like, they're just creating higher levels of economy so that they're going to be able to tax entire nations.
It's all stuff that we already have and that we have to have. Yeah, it's a perfect plan. It's a perfect plan. You got to give them credit.
Well, taxes should not, like, that is taxation is literally just a word for exploitation. Yeah. And if you think about when there were kingdoms that had all of this land and you would have to pay a king just to live on the land.
That's bullshit.
They are doing that, but with the globe. Like, they are saying that we are the kings of the land and you have to pay us. And they're pretending that they're going to use that money to better, like, whatever the fuck. But that money is highly going in their pockets. It's like a whole other Jekyll Island.
Yeah, that's what they've been doing. That's what the Federal Reserve's been doing to America. That's what they do. Oh, here, we'll get you a nice house, get you a good car. Oh, here's a yard. We'll get you we want to build you a deck so you can hang outside with your family. Yeah, we'll get you all comfortable, like, but also we are gonna be taking most of your money, and we're gonna do that forever, and there's nothing you can do about it. So that's pretty much the deal.
Shout out to the comments. Dot Connector said the people are always being blamed for the problems caused by the elite. That is like so true.
Well, at least we haven't. I've never been blamed for eating a baby or fucking a toddler, so that's pretty good. But
good for you.
Well, you know what? But that's what and thank God I don't have any generational wealth. Shout out to poverty. Poverty's out here thriving with just a wholesome poverty. Because apparently, if you're rich, you're fucking toddlers, you're eating babies, you're hanging out with owl demons. That sounds terrible because you're so bored.
They start you with abuse. That's like how they raise rich people.
So you're gonna be comfortable forever. You'll never want for anything, but you are gonna have some gonna deal with some stuff. So
you have less free will. Like, you have to act on behalf of your legacy. Like, that's no way to live. I was also thinking today, like, because I experienced so much trauma, like, and I look around at the world and I'm seeing the world being traumatized. Like, people that have never been abused might not look at Donald Trump and realize that he's an abuser, like a narcissistic abuser. But people that have encountered narcissists in their life are like, yeah, fuck that dude. So it literally is just a sign of privilege to think that these people are real people, like,
right,
to think that they have our best interests at heart when they're obviously manipulators.
Yeah, I've always been interested to, like, and we'll never get these numbers. See how loud my Drink porn is hell yeah. hell fucking yeah. But what the what the breakdown is of altruism within the elites, because they're not all one big terrible gang. I think there's 12 families that have been running the world since, something like that.
Yeah,
it's a very small amount, but there's a lot of wealth, and like not everybody's terrible, and not everybody. I mean, it's just,
well, they have their own economy, they have their own set of laws, they have their own like travel itineraries, like they live this whole other life, and they just see human beings as like bugs, like as just a part of their, balancing their checkbook.
Well, and some of them do.
Some of them are also religious, and they believe that they have been appointed by God. Some of them believe that they have a bloodline. Like,
yeah, why wouldn't you though? You have, I mean, if you're sitting there and you've got 200 bill, and you're sitting there and you're living this life, and you're like, if you believe in God, you're like, yeah, I'm on God's team. You think that? I mean, I can't blame them for thinking that. But I'm just thinking that like there's got to be, like, how do the terrible evil, the New World Order ones, how do they move within within the system? And it's like, who gets recruited, who's not in? Like, I'd love to have some sort of insight as to how that works. Who's chosen to be in on, who's like, oh, this guy, he looks like he might break a little bit bad. Let's go talk to him in an alley and convince him to and by an alley I mean in a giant palace. Well, yeah, him to come on board, but no, it's like, oh, that's good old Alan. He gives all his money to philanthropy, and he actually genuinely cares about humanity. We're gonna just leave him be, but we're gonna be. It's like, but they're still rich and running in that circle. So there's like, I don't know.
I've
got questions. Like, I'm gonna get a monocle. I'm gonna sneak in, and I'm gonna see if I can find out anything. Immediately get thrown out.
You saw a lot of this during the 90s, where they had movies like Eyes Wide Shut or True Lies.
Sex parties with the bird masks. Terrifying. We hate it.
Well, I think like a lot of the initiations look like that, because if you look at some of the old Masonic aligned initiations, they would do like resurrection ceremonies where you would pretend to die. And so you get kind of hypnotized and into this situation. And then they're like, okay, now you're gonna eat this flesh. You know what I mean? And like,
in effigy. And by effigy, we mean you are eating flesh. It's cannibalism.
Yeah. And so it's really terrifying, but the blackmail, I think, is a huge part of it. And I think they used to use homosexuality, but then when that wasn't working anymore, like,
kids got to go next thing, next in line. It's
what's
worse than being a queer, being gay? What's worse than that? Fucking kids. Okay, that's the next one. We're gonna do that. Sorry, I don't know why a redneck was rich and running it, but yeah, it's the next thing to do.
If you traumatize someone their entire life anyway, you already have control over how they use their wealth. Look at fucking George Bush and Little Bush.
Hey, don't bring me into this. I'm trying to paint all these dead soldiers. I'm trying to make amends by painting dead soldiers. It's me, W. No, you're absolutely right. And also, every room at the Epstein sex island had a camera in it, so everybody's on that blackmail roll. So that's the game. That's the game. You lure a nice, innocent, good-meaning person into a hut and have them have sex with a child, and then you got them. You gotta convince them to fuck a kid first. They're already perverts. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
This is what's really interesting. We're coming up on like an hour, so maybe like 15 more minutes. But now that Epstein is actually like in the news, and Miss Maxwell has been arrested. If you look at Maxwell's fucking dad, he was a international spy. He was a human trafficker. He was the publisher of all of the American textbooks. He owned a publishing company.
I don't like that.
By that Maxwell family. And so she's involved in this trafficking game. And in her in Jeffrey Epstein's case, they wanted to make sure that nobody, conspirators named or unnamed, had any like they had like full immunity, and that was going to be one of the trades for some kind of confession. But I don't know what happened with that. But the information that came to light was that when they tried to prosecute him the first time, someone from Central Intelligence said that he was a member of Central Intelligence and to leave him alone.
Mhm.
That happened on more than one occasion. That's fucking wild, dude. That means we are one trial away from figuring out that the CIA has been controlling the US government.
No fucking shit.
And like, is that going to be the same story as the aliens? Are we going to read that shit and be like, oh, cool, the CIA fucking has been using the American government to conduct all of this global shit?
100%.
Like,
yeah, they've had, and if it's not, and it's, I don't know if I necessarily believe that it's organizational from the top down, but there definitely are pieces structured in, and that's how, I mean, all over to protect these people, and they have people everywhere. And if you have one guy in the CIA that can do this thing for you, you still have the power. So I don't know if it's necessarily like the CIA is a whole, or if it's just shadow the CIA organization.
Friend, which means someone in the CIA was working with them, which is all you really need, you know?
Yes, yeah, that's all you need. So, but that's enough to where it's just like, it's demoralizing, because you're like, okay, well, the super police that we thought had our backs, they absolutely don't. But I don't think we think that they had our backs. The CIA's been doing some bullshit for a minute now.
Well, you mentioned in the beginning the JFK assassination. That was the coup. That was when they told.
Yeah, that was an inside job. He was shot by one of the Secret Service. As far as I know. Just kidding. It was a guy it was a lone gunman on the grassy knoll.
Yeah, but look where we are now. You know what I mean? Just like slowly but surely creeping towards globalism.
Yeah.
All the stuff that he was against. And all of it is economic. It's so sad.
Not because it's easy, because it's hard. Me, JFK.
Oh, did you say it's hard?
It's hot. He's from Boston. What a hottie, JFK, just fucking getting it.
Let me tell you.
Marilyn Monroe, he's a real president with real ideals. No racism, just what a fucking guy. And he just gets killed. Fuck everything, honestly. Make way for Richard Nixon and company to come in and do whatever the fuck.
The important thing to remember is that I saw a UFO.
Allegedly. Red and white. That's pretty tight. I feel like you would know, even if you're on drugs. I feel like you can tell when something's moving fast, like that kind of fast.
Yeah, but also, I mean, UFO sightings have increased since the pandemic. Did I tell you that last time?
Maybe no, because I don't know when the last time we did a show was.
So there's a theory that either we're outside more and we're looking at the sky more, or there's just been an influx of UFOs. Which would be interesting. Like, they know something's going on and they want to come hang.
They don't want to come hang. They want to make sure we're not about to fucking blow up each other.
I mean, because
this country is a
so bad
shit show. And then also the world's starting to come off they're doing a little bit better around the world, but it was a global thing. So this was a whole, of course they had to be monitoring.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they're already, so that's interesting, because I think that we talked about that in another episode where it was odd that with all of our technology that the sightings like drastically dropped.
Yeah.
And people were still getting good shit, and there was still some stuff, but like you would think that stop texting your boo while I'm talking on a show. Oh, how dare you?
I'm listening.
I'm just kidding. I just wanted to say that. No, but like, yeah, we have everybody's got a phone where you would think that it would just incrementally just shoot up, or exponentially rather, shoot up in sightings with all the technology, but maybe they're just not flying around until shit's going awry.
Well, are some of them Earth? Are some of them like other dimensions? Are we like, because here's what the spiritual community has been saying for the past like 3 years, is that we are coming into an age right now after we had that eclipse over the galactic center point, and that age is a raise in vibration. And some people are going to come up in that vibration because they make that choice, and some people are going to stay in the lower dimension. And it's like, what if there's some kind of like other species that we can now witness after we have undergone like an energetic shift.
That'd be fucking rad as hell.
Wouldn't that be rad as hell?
Yeah, that would be rad as hell. That reminds me, and we'll get out of here in a second. I know you said that we had already gone over an hour. That's another thing that they talked about on that the Rogan Alex Jones episode was how the DMT, people taking DMT and going and talking to these all of these big groups, going and talking to these alleged beings from somewhere else, and like that's where like in those Alex Jones alleged government meetings, they were taking DMT. That's how they were going to meet. They had these places set up in San Francisco, and under some doctor, and like that's how they went to go talk to these people. That's how they did it.
That's so fucking cool.
Or that, yeah. So and that's cool, because that's a thing that I've never taken psychedelics, and I probably should, because I want to go hang out with some aliens. But that's a thing that I read a bunch, was that with like the high end, the DMTs and the the big daddies, not the not like mushrooms or even LSD, but like that you would more often than not have the feeling that you are communicating with something else that is a life force, that is like just like that that it's something. And even if it wasn't like a creature, like there was this overwhelming feeling that you like this was something, this was telling me something. And it happens so much, and people talk about it all the time, that there's got to be something to that. So that's why they don't want us to take it, because that's the way if they're the only people that have the access to them, they don't want you and me going to talk to Glorko, the Lord of the Underrealm, because we all can. And that's what some magicians have said, that like we all have access to all of this power, and we all have it. And like and that's part of the realm of the bad people, that they don't want you to know that we have power. Another thing as well that they're oppressing us by, that we can do the same shit they're doing, but not to the devil.
Yeah, I wonder a lot about like the ways that we kind of go to other dimensions. Like, I don't know. Don't take the cops or anything, but I do feel like I travel between dimensions a lot, even when I'm not on psychedelics. And like,
I don't want to do that.
They're not what we think they are. Like, they're not places. They're very experiential. And like, we have, like, you hit the nail on the head earlier when you were talking about how they use luxury to kind of silence us out of overthrowing the oppressors, because there is this middle ground where we have like air conditioning and we have beds to sleep on and clothes to wear and food
complacent.
Yeah. And so we don't really feel any action. But the antidote to that is like a curiosity about what this realm really is. And I think that people that are of a certain class are accessing that compassion through psychedelics right now. And it's really going to change how we see otherworldly beings, because we're going to be experiencing them. Like, I've been seeing shit since I was a kid. Like this, like if an alien materialized in my living room right now, I'd be like, cool, let's go. Like I have no blockages to receiving any of that shit. But some people don't really receive that until they engage with a psychedelic, and then it opens up this whole new consciousness. And what if that's what's going to like create a channel between like this world and the world on the other side of the veil?
Right. Well, and that's what, and it absolutely is. And like, and honestly, I want you to go. I'm sorry that I'm harping on this, but the Rogan Alex Jones episode. I do want you to watch this. You're gonna love it, because Alex Jones he talks about what we're talking about, and how that with the psychedelics, how that there are, I don't remember the exact number, but some of the three of the dimensions are stacked right on top of each other. So you have the dimension where that ghosts are in, that is on top. They're in the same area, and there's like other ones that are here that we can't see, that are right here, and then there's like three that go below and three that go, like he had this whole like intricate thing, but like, so there's like stuff going on around us. And that's what they were saying the DMT does, is open you up to these dimensions, and you could communicate with these elves or these creatures, these aliens, whatever that may be. Like suddenly you're that's what happens. You're a part. You're opened up to these other places that are normally, you know, you can't access. So there's something interesting. So
we talked about literally everything.
Yeah, we just like oh, so we don't have anything else to talk about. Okay, well we probably won't do another show. We really just knocked out every conspiracy. I mean, it was. I can't. What happened to your sound? Why your microphone's off? It said your microphone's off. You turned your microphone off. It just has a line through it. It just says you're. I'm like pushing it on my phone, trying to turn it on for you. It's like, turn on. Your mic's muted. Oh, there you go.
Okay, sweet. Well, I think this cord on my Yeti is crapping out. So
yeah, they go bad. That's happened on 2 of mine.
All right. Well, we did it. Another successful episode of Our Lady of Conspiracy.
It's a good episode. Well, this was like, we'll say we talked about everything. We'll pick something specific and we'll go in on it and just kind of try to stay focused rather than talk about everything that's ever happened ever.
Well, that's the thing, is everything is so connected that it's hard to talk about one thing without talking about the other. But I think we touched on a lot of really interesting rabbit holes that like you could follow any of those threads and just like go so deep into this. Like everything has a conspiracy attached to it. Right. And culture has been like that for so long. Like when we talk shit about conspiracy theory culture, like this isn't new.
No, but I feel like it's more, and let's get out of here. But before we go out, like I feel like it's infinitely more glaring that it is all connected. Before, it's not just 9/11, the Denver airport, lizard people, this and that. It's like, okay, this is all like, this means they're doing this because of that, and this is connected, and it all comes down to the Bilderbergs,
politicians,
Dave Rothschild.
The birds, Darwinism, Nazis, Anunnaki, like all of these fucking things. Yeah, the church.
That's one. That's a deep one.
Praise God. All right, Dr. Glenn Prest.
Thank you. I got my doctorate in conspiracies.
If you want to follow you online, how would we do
that? Go to www. I don't know.
Drop your Twitter, motherfucker.
I don't care, man. No, don't find me. How about that?
Aw, sweet pumpkin. You don't want the aliens to come up?
No, if you find me, then it was meant to be.
Okay, well,
I'm drop yours.
Refu LLABRITT, BrittVosicek.com. Bye, Dr. Glenn. I love you.
Love you.
Thank y'all for watching. Bye forever.
Good riddance.